For the past several years, my buddy Ron has been giving me his old spent 22-250 cases. I knew inevitably I would build one of my own, but I needed one specifically to shoot heavier bullets with a fast twist rate. I saw that BCA was selling one with a 1-in-9 twist rate, so I decided to give it a go. I did a video earlier this September, and as a quick review, the forward assist would not come in contact with the bolt carrier group, it would not cycle properly, it failed to lock back, but most importantly, it was blowing primers and factory Hornady ammo. I typically would try to fix the problem myself, but I was in the middle of 2 other builds and deer season was right around the corner, so I decided to send it back. The return process was pretty painless. I followed the online instructions and dropped it off at the Federal Express office, and I opted for a new build versus a repair. The process took less than 10 days after I dropped it off to receive my new one, and just like the first one, I went through the same process of checking everything. I purposely built a light charge with the Hornady 68 grain boat tail hollow point bullet. First shot cycled, but did not lock back, and there was a shallow primer strike, and the primer was starting to come out of the case. The second to third shot cycled properly but failed to lock back after the third shot. Both of these cases look just like the first one with shallow primer strikes and the primers coming out of the case. This is not a good start. When I got home, I decided to bring all 3 bolt carrier groups and their firing pins. I went to an even lighter bullet using the 60 grain Hornady soft point and decided to use quick load to find a slower burning powder. I started with 37 grains of Vitavari N550, which according to quick load is 43K of pressure with a 65K pressure max. Here's the first shot. Blown primer. I could tell you just because of the smoke that primer already blew. And that's the lightest charge of Vitavari. Look at this. Look at that, smoking. Let me find that case really quick. See that? After this failed, I swapped to my heaviest bolt carrier group, which is my CAC, for my AR10 300 Win short mag. This time I shot 38 grains of Vitavari, which is 47K, still 18K under max pressure. And here's the result. Blown primer. See all that smoke? Yep. Same thing. After this fail, I did some reading online and it was suggested that the rifle is way overgassed and to remove the gas block. I talked to my builder who also suggested removing the ejector, then evaluate the case. This rifle will purposely not cycle or eject cases. I reduced the load to even more at 36.5 grain, which is now 41K of pressure, and here is the result. You can't quite see it in the video, but there's a light primer strike and the primer's starting to come out. I took a second shot of 37 grains of Vitavari, the original load that I started yesterday. I decided to film the gas block since I've always been curious of what it looks like when you don't have a gas tube installed. And just like yesterday, without gas, without an extractor, the primer was completely pierced with heavy extractor mark. At this point, I decided to send the rifle back, requesting a full refund. There are obviously quality control issues with the fast twist 22-250 with the 1-in-9 twist rate. As of January 31st, 2023, this rifle is no longer available. I would suspect it has something to do with other shooters having similar issues that I was having. If I were to guess the problems, I would narrow it down to a couple of areas: the headspace, the gas port size, the bolt carrier group, and BCA should suggest customers using a heavier buffer and heavier spring. Now here are where things get interesting. I returned the rifle with full request around November the 15th. It said that it would take around 10 days. That would be just around Thanksgiving, so I waited until the following Monday before I emailed them and gave them a call. There was no reply. I called the office again the following Monday and tried to see if anyone would answer the phone. Again, there was no reply or no return to my email. Called them again 3 days later, and I finally got a person. The excuse was the employee handling my account was no longer employed with them and that the request had got hung up in their system. I received an email that evening stating that the request has been fulfilled and to expect my money back within the next week, and I did receive the money just before Christmas. This is my 4th AR with Bear Creek Arsenal, the first with a 6.5 Grendel that had a gas tube issue. I've purchased 2 350 Legends and finally this Nightmare 22-250. At SHOT Show 2023, BCA was excited to announce a heavy caliber AR10 line with calibers like the 300 Win Mag. I would be very precautious in using their AR10s, particularly their heavy calibers, since they can't even get a small 22-250 to work properly. Do your research in their current line of 308 and 6.5 Creedmoor in their AR10 platform. The reviews have been pretty much the same as my Nightmare 22-250.